Welcome back, explorers. Part 1 shook the foundations. Part 2 is about to detonate them entirely. In the jungles of Mesoamerica, the ancient Maya built a single calendar simultaneously tracking every visible planet across the sky with mathematical precision that still humbles modern astronomers. In the forested hills of Germany, a Bronze Age disk of bronze and gold became the oldest star map ever held in human hands, the Nebra Sky Disk. In ancient Greece, Aristarchus of Samos looked up at the sky in 270 BCE and declared, against everything his world believed, that the earth moved around the sun. And in Mesopotamia, Babylonian scholars recorded the movements of Venus on a clay tablet with a precision that modern science still finds extraordinary. 4 more discoveries. 4 more moments when ancient minds reached beyond their world and touched something eternal. This is the Part 2. Welcome back. You are watching Terra Mysteries TV. The Maya's 819-day calendar tracked every visible planet. There are civilizations that watched the sky. And then there are the ancient Maya, a civilization that did not merely watch the sky, but mathematically consumed it, dissected it, and reconstructed it into a calendar system of such breathtaking complexity that modern astronomers, armed with computers and centuries of accumulated data, have only recently begun to fully appreciate what the Maya had already quietly figured out over 1,000 years ago. For decades, the Maya's mysterious 819-day calendar cycle confounded researchers. Unlike their famous 365-day solar calendar or their sacred 260-day Tzolk'in ritual calendar, both of which were relatively well understood, the 819-day cycle seemed to follow a logic that nobody could convincingly explain. It did not correspond neatly to any single planetary cycle. It did not align obviously with the solar year. Scholars proposed theory after theory, and for decades the true purpose of the 819-day calendar remained one of the most stubbornly persistent mysteries in all of Mesoamerican archaeology. Then in 2023, 2 researchers, John Linden and Victoria Bricker, published a study that reframed the entire question. The breakthrough was elegant in the way that all truly great scientific revelations are elegant. Instead of looking at the 819-day cycle in isolation, they expanded their analysis across a period of 45 years, and suddenly, everything aligned. The 819-day calendar was not tracking one planet, it was simultaneously tracking all of them. Mercury completes its synodic cycle, the time it takes to return to the same position relative to Earth, in 117 days. 3 of those cycles equal 351 days. Saturn's synodic cycle is 378 days. Jupiter's is 399 days. Mars completes its cycle in 780 days. And Venus, the planet the Maya considered the most sacred and powerful of all, follows a 584-day synodic cycle. When Linden and Bricker mapped the 819-day calendar across a full 45-year span of 20 calendar periods, every single one of these planetary cycles locked into perfect mathematical harmony with the Maya's ancient count. Every single one. Why it baffled scientists. The Maya performed complex multi-planetary astronomical calculations across generations without telescopes, producing planetary period predictions that rival modern measurements. Their Venus cycle calculation error over 500 years amounted to less than 2 hours. The Maya did not just study the sky, they understood it in ways that still humble us today. The Nebra Sky Disk, the oldest known star map. In 1999, somewhere in the forested hills of Saxony-Anhalt in central Germany, a pair of illegal treasure hunters with metal detectors uncovered something buried in the earth that nobody was prepared for. Something so ancient, so beautiful, and so scientifically sophisticated that when it was first presented to archaeologists, many of them refused to believe it was real. What they had found was a bronze disc, approximately 30 centimeters in diameter, covered in a deep oxidized patina of extraordinary blue-green. Across its surface, inlaid in pure hammered gold, were the sun, a crescent moon, a cluster of stars unmistakably identifiable as the Pleiades constellation, and a series of golden arcs along its edges. It was breathtaking in its beauty, but it was what those golden symbols represented, and when they were created, that stopped the scientific world entirely in its tracks. The Nebra Sky Disk dates to approximately 1600 BCE, making it the oldest known astronomically accurate representation of the night sky ever discovered on the face of the Earth. It was created during the European Bronze Age, by a culture that mainstream history had never credited with any meaningful astronomical knowledge whatsoever. And yet the disk's creators demonstrated a precise understanding of the Pleiades star cluster's seasonal movements, using its position to determine the correct timing of the agricultural year with an accuracy that required decades of careful, organized, and deeply intentional sky observation. The golden arc on the right edge of the disk represents the angle between the summer and winter solstice sunsets as seen from the Middleburg Hill where the disk was buried. A detail so geographically and astronomically specific that it could only have been created by someone who had spent years standing on that exact hill. Why it baffled scientists. A German astronomer noted that the Bronze Age people who made it possessed astronomical knowledge that the Babylonians would only discover 1,000 years later. The gold for the disk was traced to Cornwall, England, suggesting Bronze Age trade and knowledge networks far more advanced than assumed. The Nebra Sky disk is not just the oldest star map ever found. It is a window into a Bronze Age mind that looked up at the same stars we see tonight, and understood them far more deeply than we ever imagined possible. Aristarchus proposed a sun-centered solar system in 270 BCE. There are moments in the history of human thought so radical, so far ahead of their time, so cosmically courageous that the world was simply not ready to receive them. Moments where a single mind saw something true, something undeniably mathematically observationally true, and spoke it out loud into a world that was not yet prepared to listen. Aristarchus of Samos had one of those moments in 270 BCE, and the world ignored him for nearly 2,000 years. Aristarchus was a Greek astronomer and mathematician born on the island of Samos, working at a time when the entire educated world operated under one unquestioned, immovable assumption: that the Earth sat motionless at the center of the universe, and that the sun, the moon, the planets, and every star in the sky revolved around it. This was not merely a scientific position. It was a philosophical and spiritual certainty so deeply embedded in the ancient worldview that to challenge it was not just academically controversial, it was personally dangerous. Aristarchus challenged it anyway. Through a series of geometric observations and mathematical calculations of extraordinary elegance, Aristarchus concluded something that would not be formally accepted by mainstream science for another 1,800 years: that the Earth and all the other planets revolve around the sun. He estimated the size of the moon relative to the Earth. He calculated the relative distance of the sun from the Earth with surprising accuracy using lunar eclipse geometry. And from these measurements, he arrived at the only logical conclusion the mathematics would allow. The sun, being vastly larger than the Earth, could not possibly be orbiting something so much smaller than itself. The Earth moved. The sun stood still. His contemporaries were not impressed. The philosopher Cleanthes reportedly argued that Aristarchus should be charged with impiety for suggesting that the sacred, immovable Earth was hurtling through space. His heliocentric model was noted, discussed, and then quietly set aside in favor of the comfortable geocentric certainty that the world preferred. It would take until 1543 CE, when Nicholas Copernicus published his own heliocentric model, for the idea Aristarchus had already proven with geometry in 270 BCE to finally receive the recognition it deserved. Copernicus himself acknowledged the Greek astronomer's prior claim. The truth had been spoken 2,000 years earlier. Why it baffled scientists. Aristarchus arrived at the correct structure of the solar system nearly 1,800 years before Copernicus rediscovered it in 1543. His work was largely ignored by his contemporaries. Had his ideas been accepted and built upon, the scientific revolution might have begun millennia earlier. Aristarchus of Samos did not just propose a sun-centered solar system. He looked up at the sky with nothing but his eyes and his mind, followed the mathematics wherever they led without flinching, and arrived at the truth of our solar system nearly 2 millennia before the world was brave enough to agree with him. The Venus tablet of Ammisaduqa, 3,500-year-old planetary record. There is something deeply moving about the idea of a human being 3,500 years ago sitting beneath the vast Mesopotamian sky night after night, year after year, watching a single bright point of light move across the darkness and writing it all down. Not because anyone told them to, not because they had instruments to guide them, but because something in the ancient human mind recognized that the universe was speaking and that its words deserved to be recorded. The Venus tablet of Ammisaduqa is one of the oldest and most extraordinary astronomical documents ever recovered from the ancient world. Inscribed on a clay tablet in cuneiform script during the reign of the Babylonian king Ammisaduqa, who ruled approximately 1646 to 1626 BCE, the tablet contains a systematic, detailed, and remarkably accurate record of the rising and setting times of Venus, spanning a period of approximately 21 years. Every time Venus appeared on the eastern horizon as the morning star, it was recorded. Every time it vanished below the western horizon as the evening star, that too was written down, date by date, observation by observation, year by year, for over 2 decades of unbroken, dedicated sky watching. What makes the Venus tablet of Ammisaduqa so staggering to modern astronomers is not merely its age, Though 3,500 years of survival is extraordinary in itself, it is the precision. The tablet records the synodic periods of Venus, the time it takes for Venus to return to the same position relative to both the Earth and the Sun, with an accuracy that modern calculations have confirmed to be remarkably close to the true value. These were not rough estimates or mythological approximations. They were the product of systematic, disciplined, generational astronomical observation carried out by Babylonian scholars who understood that the sky followed rules, and that those rules could be learned, recorded, and passed forward through time. The tablet also served a deeply practical and political purpose. In ancient Babylon, the movements of Venus were considered direct omens from the goddess Ishtar, the divine embodiment of Venus herself, whose appearances and disappearances in the sky were believed to foretell the fates of kings, the outcomes of wars, and the prosperity or devastation of entire kingdoms. The Venus tablet was therefore not just a scientific document. It was a cosmic rulebook for the governance of an empire. Why it baffled scientists. This tablet proves systematic, mathematically rigorous planetary observation dating back nearly 4,000 years. Modern scientists still use it to cross-reference ancient chronology. It pushed back the known origins of scientific astronomy by centuries beyond what was previously believed. Today, the tablet resides in the British Museum in London, its cuneiform markings still sharp and legible after 35 centuries of existence. It is a 3,500-year-old reminder that the human impulse to watch the sky, to understand it, to record it, and to find meaning in its movements is not a product of the modern age. It is perhaps the oldest impulse we have. 8 discoveries. 8 moments scattered across 10,000 years of human history, separated by oceans and continents and centuries of forgotten knowledge, and yet united by a single humbling truth. Our ancestors were not primitive. They were not stumbling blindly through a dark and incomprehensible universe. They were watching, thinking, calculating, reaching upward toward the stars with minds every bit as brilliant, every bit as curious, and every bit as hungry for understanding as any scientist alive today. From the 12 moonlit pits of Warren Field to the clay tablets of ancient Babylon, from the shadow of a stick in Alexandria to the silent solstice alignment of Stonehenge, from the jungle observatories of the Maya to a bronze disk buried in the hills of Germany, from the courageous heresy of Aristarchus to the patient Venus-watching scholars of Mesopotamia, the sky has always been humanity's oldest and most faithful companion. We have always looked up, we have always wondered, and we have always, in our own extraordinary ways, found answers. Now we want to hear from you. Which of these 8 ancient astronomical discoveries moved you the most? Which one shattered your understanding of just how brilliant our ancestors truly were? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. This community exists because of minds like yours, and every single voice in it matters. If this journey through the ancient skies stirred something inside you, show us your support. Leave a like. Share this video with a fellow seeker of truth. And if the stars have led you here for the first time, subscribe to Terra Mysteries TV. The universe has infinite stories left to tell, and we are just getting started.